Good afternoon. Today is September the 17th of 2012. We're in the second part of a three-part series on empathetic expressions. In essence, how to express empathy once you understand the essence of the thing. See, the truest display of understanding is the enactment of a concept, actually giving it flesh and substance in this reality, which is precisely what we are here to do. Because what we are is flesh and substance in this reality. As co-creators, as conscious co-creators, we're looking to replicate that idea. Most of you won't realize it. Actually, I don't think anybody can, because anyway, we've reached the middle of the middle, the turning point, the axle, the very fulcrum with which all of these spectrum-based ideologies, these concepts will turn. There is a definitive end to this. I will do one series describing all of the octaves and their inherent properties, and then I'll leave it at that. It'll be reviewed many times by many people for many reasons. But there's so much information here that can only be perceived in hindsight that it would be counterproductive to continue past a point where people are no longer capable of translating it. And I don't even mean that in an arrogant way. I mean it in the reality of the situation. Each individual point of consciousness has evolved to certain precepts, and the fact that most of the people who are here have taken a density vehicle, it communicates that they've evolved to a specific frequency. And as is true with anyone, you are capable of at least understanding perhaps 2 octaves above where you are, but knowing it, you cannot gain unless you actually have been there. Either way, the axle is trust, because it's a central concept with which all essential expressions, all concepts flow. See, trust is there no matter which path you choose to walk in life. There are not only 2, there are many more, but we'll focus on the 2 that are most relevant to third density experience, the path of self and the path of others. The path of others is that of overt trust. It is a very mechanism which allows for individuals to navigate through the path of others. Trust in other people, trust in yourself, in the care of other people, trust in higher powers. The path of self operates on trust as well, but a condensed version of trust that is relegated to a subtle thing. It's trust in your absolute supremacy over the reality that you're a part of. Trust in your control, in essence. Most people in the path of self haven't recognized the innate aspect of faith at work, trust at work within their actions. They would say, most of them, that they're cynical of such concepts, that it's just cause and effect. I do this, I get this. Well, you're trusting that the universe, in essence, will hold true to that behavioral model. Either way. Trust is the axis with which all things turn, because it's extended outwards and inwards. It pervades all versions of this consciousness. It's part of the superstructure, the scaffolding, with which all of the overlays, the holograms, are actually formed around. When you can understand the base activation principles, trust being one, then you can start playing, or rather building your life using that same material. This is what I mean when you're a concept made flesh, made whole, then you can start replicating that idea over and over again with slight variations. That's what DNA does. That's what atoms do. That's actually what every building block of constituent reality does. you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to understand the mechanics of it and know them. Trust, when extended to other people, takes shape as credibility. In essence, this is what kind of I'm banking on right now. As of now, I have no social validation, no academic validation, whether spiritual or otherwise, because we've set up a system, it doesn't matter in what realm you speak of, that is based on egoic social academia. Meaning, you have to be validated through a third-party source that has somehow achieved validation of their own at a specific frequency. If I was doing these conversations and I had written a book and somebody told you that that book was life-changing and that I was some sort of ascendant figure in comparison to them as validated by other people, these YouTube hits would be 1,000, 10,000. Even if I told you that I was channeling somebody that you knew, like Ra or Michael the Archangel, the hits would be much higher too. But because the reality of the situation is I'm claiming and knowing authentically that I am in and of myself all forms of existence that have ever been. I need no credibility from other parties because there are no other parties. Because I speak as myself, for myself, and through myself, my righteous, all-encompassing self, the credibility must come from the validity of the information and nothing else. So it speaks only to those who are willing to vibrate at that frequency, who have realized that the extension of trust, as far as information consumption goes, has nothing to do with social institutions. The information of somebody who understands physics because of their own innate construction is just as valid as somebody who has a PhD in physics. In fact, I would say it's more so. Ask Einstein. He had no academic credibility, but he understood physics as a part of his constituent reality. And because of that, he created modern physics. But yet he had no credibility until he proved himself. In essence, I will do exactly that. This is why I say that these things will be scrutinized from different perspectives as I start unfolding my inventions, like the actual tangible proof of these constituent realities in this version of density. As people start consuming those inventions and saying, hey, these are great, this guy must be something or other, some sort of identification title, then they'll start to trust, and that trust will lead them back to other sources of content, this being one. If you can hear this now and understand the implications of what I'm saying, then it means that you've evolved to a point where you can see the constituent energetic version of reality outside of the clothing that it's wearing. And it also means that you've recognized the third version of trust, which is unity consciousness. If you can fuse logical, rational conclusions with spiritual and I guess irrational but would be the right word, but it's not specifically that because that's a negative connotation. The word is extra rational. Understanding that there's more to perceiving the nature of reality than just the density physical model, the weighing and measuring of material. When you can fuse that together, then trust and belief and imagination become one vehicle. They become methods, different sort of lenses that you can use to perceive the same constituent reality, and that reality is infused into your own nature of self. It's what we call unity consciousness. It's actually the precept with which the path of others is claiming is the goal of this reality, and that's not true at all. Unity consciousness is obvious. It's just the basis for understanding. Once you get to the point of understanding, or rather, let's say, achieving an enlightened perspective, the very first self-evident truth that arises from that is that all things are one. Knowing that, understanding it, is not a goal. It just means that you've actually gotten to the playing field. Now you're on the board. Now you actually understand one of the core principles of reality. Understanding what to do with it, actually how to apply it, is why you're here. See, the unity conscious theory is a higher echelon of the fourth density. It's why love is the main focus of the fourth chakra. It's why love is also constituently a green ideology, and it's why it's going to be the focus, the last 3-part series in this specific talk. This planet has already recognized the power and the constituent nature of love, which is why it's ascending from the fourth density to the fifth. It's why Jesus came, because he was a high fourth density octave evolution. He ushered in the era for people to understand, love others as you love yourself, because they are you. That was the message for that time, but that time is no longer relevant. We have understood and known that concept. If you truly want to be in step with the evolution of this reality, the reality that you chose to be a part of, then consume that as part of your base understanding, obvious, self-evident truth, and then say, alright, well, since everything is unified versions of consciousness, what do I do with it? What opportunities does it open for me outwards? How can I recreate, reshape that consciousness and make this world more harmonic in doing so? This brings us to a totality concept. See, what trust is placing those things which you've abdicated control of into the possession of all is well. Whatever the fuck you have chosen to put a label on that, you could say it's God or Allah or Hindu or Krishna or Buddha, Buddha Shavats. You could say it's Zoroastrian. Sorry. Or you could say, like me, that it's this earth, this planet. If you want to believe and perceive that you are in the care of something higher than yourself, which is a precept of the path of others, that is trust in action. It's not the action of trusting, it's the choice of using trust as your method of operation, your vehicle, that will allow you the consequences of that frequency. It opens up all of the path of others, all of the subtlety, vibration frequencies that are not used in this reality. Every society on this planet, every society is ultimately based on an egoic principle of self-aggrandizement and depreciation of at least other countries, other societies, defining themselves in relation as if they're separate, as if there is literally different countries. How asinine is that concept? If you drained away all of the oceans, it is one land surface. If you took all of the names off the map, it is one surface, one ocean. There is no separation, but yet we've accepted, when we incarnated into this reality, that there's some sort of validity to people believing that social definitions are somehow relevant. We know that they're not, because they weren't relevant 1,000 years ago. Not even that, 500 years ago. They won't be relevant in another 500 years. So that very logical and factual understanding invalidates their significance in this reality. What remains when you strip away all of those things that are impermanent? Things like trust, love, the self, the other, unification, separation. Those are the things that you need to base your operational parameters on. Meaning, those are the guiding principles of the light. When you're looking at your toolbox and you're saying, alright, what do I have to shape this world with? Those are the things that remain. Those are the best tools you can use. Use them to shape this world. That is your responsibility. But it's also your joy. Your creators. I love you.